Welcome to an explainer that is absolutely going to shift how you view the natural world around us. Today, we're exploring the hidden life of forest fungi. We're going to transform how you look at a forest, moving entirely away from seeing it as just a simple collection of standalone trees, and instead understanding it as a highly cooperative, deeply intelligent superorganism, all connected by a subterranean wood wide web.
So, do trees actually talk to each other? Now, I know it sounds a bit like a fairy tale, right? But this provocative question sits right at the center of a profound scientific revolution that is completely shaking up traditional forestry and ecology. For decades, we've walked through the woods completely blind to the bustling communication happening right beneath our boots.
To really grasp this, we have to dismantle a very old, stubborn myth. The classic Darwinian view treated forests as a competitive woodland battleground, a place of disconnected loners just constantly fighting for water, nutrients, and sunlight. But the modern scientific view reveals something breathtaking. Forests are actually cooperative, interdependent superorganisms, forming intricate alliances and actively supporting one another. In our explainer today, we're going to cover 6 key areas. 1. The wood wide web. 2. Mycelial intelligence underground. 3. Tree communication and defenses. 4. Diverse and bioluminescent fungi. 5. Nature's ultimate recyclers. And finally, 6. Fungi against climate change.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the wood wide web.
Mycorrhizal networks are these massive underground fungal systems formed by microscopic, hair-like filaments that physically merge with the roots of trees. It's a truly incredible symbiotic exchange. The fungi act as scavengers, meticulously mining the soil for nitrogen and phosphorus to feed the trees. In exchange, the fungi charge a little fee, about 30% of the sugar the trees photosynthesize. It is a perfect biological economy. To truly wrap your head around the sheer density of this subterranean web, think about this number: 300 miles. When you walk in an old-growth forest, just a single imprint of your foot covers enough microscopic fungal cells that, if laid end to end, they would stretch for 300 miles. The soil is quite literally packed with this sentient webbing. This brings us to a really beautiful observation by the German forester Peter Wohlleben. He famously discovered a gigantic, ancient beech stump in his forest. Now, the tree had been felled 400 or 500 years ago, yet when he scraped the surface, it was still green with chlorophyll. How is that even possible? Well, surrounding mother trees were actively pumping liquid sugar into it through this very fungal network just to keep it alive. As Wohlleben beautifully puts it, when beeches do this, they remind me of elephants. They are reluctant to abandon their dead, especially when it's a big, old, revered matriarch. Moving on to Section 2, Mycelial Intelligence Underground. Fungi predate humans by billions of years. In fact, they were the ones who brought the very first plants from the sea onto land over 450 million years ago. Far from being simple decomposers, these ancient architects constantly monitor and adapt to their environment. They distribute resources dynamically, actively sending nutrients to struggling saplings stuck in deeply shaded areas. Scientists have even figured out that they use chemical, hormonal, and voltage-based electrical signaling systems that are strikingly similar to an animal's nervous system. Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, tree communication and defenses. This defense mechanism sounds straight out of science fiction. Picture a giraffe biting into an acacia leaf on the African savanna. The injured tree immediately notices the damage and emits ethylene gas as a distress signal. Neighboring acacia trees detect this warning gas and preemptively pump toxic tannins into their leaves, which sickens the herbivores. Because of this brilliant early warning system, giraffes are literally forced to walk 100 yards into the wind before taking their next bite, just to outpace the tree's airborne alarms. And it gets even more specific than that. Trees actually possess a complex sense of taste and smell. They deploy highly tailored responses depending on exactly who or what is attacking them. When caterpillars bite an elm, the tree detects their specific saliva and releases pheromones to attract parasitic wasps to take care of the problem. When a deer takes a bite, the tree recognizes the deer's saliva and pumps foul-tasting chemicals right into the leaves. But if a human just breaks a branch with their hands, the tree senses the difference and brings in healing substances instead of toxins. Absolutely fascinating, isn't it? Let's dive deeper with Section 4, diverse and bioluminescent fungi. Fungi fall into several distinct categories. We have saprophytic fungi, which are your classic wood decomposers that build up the topsoil. Then there are parasitic and endophytic fungi. Of course, we have the mycorrhizal fungi that partner with plant roots, and then you find visually stunning bioluminescent species, like Panellus stypticus, that actually glow in the dark, literally lighting up the forest floor with a biological luminescence.
Which brings us to Section 5, Nature's Ultimate Recyclers.
Beyond just supporting the trees, common mushrooms use highly specialized extracellular enzymes to literally digest our worst pollution. The oyster mushroom, for example, can break down petroleum hydrocarbons and crude oil spills. The turkey tail can dismantle toxic industrial dyes and pesticides through oxidative breakdown. And Ganoderma lucidum can biosorb and immobilize heavy metals like lead right out of contaminated soil. They actively transform the pollution. Zooming back out to the macro level, we have Section 6, Fungi against climate change. When it comes to ectomycorrhizal carbon flow, these fungi are doing some heavy lifting. They channel up to 30% of a tree's photosynthesized carbon deep down into underground hyphal networks. Because this carbon is locked into stable organic matter, forests dominated by these fungi can stockpile up to 70% more below-ground carbon than forests without them. They are quite literally pumping carbon right out of the atmosphere and burying it safely underground. This stabilization is hugely aided by a fascinating substance called glomalin. It's a sticky glycoprotein excreted by arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi. Think of it as nature's superglue. In our agricultural lands, this fungal glue binds soil particles together into stable aggregates. This not only gives soil its rich, spongy structure, but it safely traps that carbon for decades, preventing massive amounts of carbon dioxide from escaping back into the atmosphere. Because of all these incredible properties, we are rapidly entering the era of the circular bioeconomy. We are now engineering carbon-neutral mycelium into next-generation biomaterials to replace toxic plastics. We're using it for fire-resistant green construction, biodegradable fashion, and packaging. We're even using fungal enzymes to process agricultural waste directly into biofuels. In fact, globally, the demand for this fungal brilliance is projected to exceed $5 billion by 2032. Which brings us to a final provocative thought. Knowing about this vast, intelligent, glowing network right beneath our feet, how will you tread on the earth during your next walk in the woods? I leave you with that. Because once you truly understand the hidden mind and the profound cooperative power of the forest, a simple walk in the woods will simply never be the same again. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning and always keep looking beneath the surface.